and welcome to Honour the Grind. I'm Raina Malik and I'm here with David Brett Williams. Today we're talking about the benefits of having a positive outlook on life. Yesterday, David, you were telling me a wonderful story. Could you share that with us?
Oh, are you talking about my friend Andy, who I used to work with? Okay, cool. Well, I used to work with this guy, Andy, and he had this zest for life, this positive outlook, which was, to be honest, it was annoying sometimes because he would always have, one of those phrases such as, oh, every cloud is a silver lining, or the glass is half full, not half empty, and things like this. So he was always sort of pushing you to be a little bit more positive, and some days, that little bit of a funk, and you just really don't want to feel that positivity, or it's really hard to find. But he was always, so from the first moment I saw him to the last moment, he was always consistent, but always really up there and upbeat and positive and smiley and stuff like that. So it was really tough act to follow in a way.
Yeah. Would you say Andy was one of those, because some people are blessed in many ways in life, so therefore a lot of us look at them and think that they've got every reason to be happy. They may not have the same challenges or the same story to tell as we do. Was Andy one of those?
No, I wouldn't say he was. So Andy was, he had a brother who was a little bit older, who his parents decided he could go to university and he couldn't. So I don't think he was blessed with every opportunity in life. I think we also have to think that there are a lot of people who have, we'll say, everything. So on the outwards, you would say, my goodness, look at all they have. And so we expect these people to be happy. And some of these people are not just not happy, they're miserable. So in our world, we connect maybe sort of possessions and material things to happiness. And I'm not sure that connection actually exists in the real world. And so we chase these material objects thinking that if I get this, then I'll be happy. And then we get there and we realize that I'm not happy. And so sometimes I think we are a little bit mistaken in our pursuit of happiness by chasing material.
Absolutely. So what are the benefits of a positive outlook?
Well, there are tons of benefits. There is a very clear connection between our brain and our bodies. And so mindset is vital in this because your mindset affects how your body works and also the processes that happen within it. And if anybody's facing a health-related crisis, it's been demonstrated many, many times that cultivating positive emotions boosts the immune system and counters depression.
So can you give us some examples of where having a positive outlook may benefit our health?
So this significant link is being shown in both controlling healthier blood sugar levels, lowering blood pressure, less heart disease, and better weight control. And even when people are faced with incurable illnesses such as cancers, positive feelings and thoughts can improve the quality of life. So maybe not the quantity, but it can improve the quality of life.
And so you also mentioned a study conducted by American Heart Association, is that right?
Yeah, so we talked about that earlier. And this was quite a big study. It looked at just over 600 patients, and what they found was that those patients with a more positive mood were 58% more likely to live another 5 years. Mm-hmm. So
that's huge.
It is. You think that's just the difference of positivity increases longevity.
And it's not just longevity. Also, you mentioned it's the quality. So it's the quality of life that it impacts as well.
It does, because they found that there was a real connection between exercising and positivity, and they're not sure which one went first. So were the people positive, so they exercised, or were they exercised and then were positive as a result of that? But if you think about it, it probably doesn't really matter which came first, the chicken or the egg, positivity or exercise. It's the fact that, this works, and so we need to do it. We need to be positive and exercise.
That's it. You mentioned a story about a lady who was having cancer treatment.
A lady, but she was also a doctor. So she was actually studying medicine at the time, and we're talking about a lady by the name of Wendy Harpham, or Dr. Wendy Harpham, I should say. And she actually has written several books for people who are facing cancer, so really for cancer patients. And it goes back probably 30 years ago when she was an internist that she was diagnosed herself with cancer. She was diagnosed with a form of autoimmune cancer, something called non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And she actually faced 15 years of treatment for her cancer. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I guess in those days the treatment isn't as it is now, which is why it was 15 years.
Yeah, well, and sometimes some people have very aggressive forms of cancer that keeps on going. Remission comes back, unfortunately. And so what you tried to do was set the stage for happiness and hope. So she did several things. She would surround herself with really positive people who lift her spirits. She still keeps a gratitude journal.
That's wonderful.
And she would also every day do something good for somebody else.
Oh, that's great.
So an act of kindness. And she also watched loads of fun and uplifting movies because she realized that sort of watching those really improved her mood and her spirits.
So does this also work with aging?
So some people consider aging to be a disease, and yes, it does. They looked at research looked at a really big study of over 4,000 people who were age 15 and above, so my age group, and they found that that the ones who demonstrated a positive view of aging would have a beneficial influence on both the health outcomes and the longevity. So if you have a positive view towards aging, you'll live longer.
Wow, that's incredible. So how does one foster positive emotions?
Well, they looked at two ways of doing it. One was psychologically, so that if you had a positive view, you actually had an enhanced view of your own ability. And as you probably know, a lot of people as they get older, fear, I won't be able to do this anymore, I can't do this anymore. So the enhancing a view of your own ability is really powerful. And this also decreases perceived stress and fosters more healthy behaviors, such as exercising again. And then the other way was physiologically, because people with positive outlooks on aging had lower levels of something called C-reactive protein. And this is a marker of stress-related inflammation and it's associated with heart disease and other illnesses. So the more we can do to reduce the C-reactive protein, the healthier and more capable we're going to be for much longer.
So did they follow any particular plans or scheduled tasks?
Well, another study sort of looked at how to foster positive emotions, and what they found was that if they could practice 8 skills, and 3 of 8 skills technically, that would foster more of these positive emotions and a more positive outlook.
Oh wow, so could you tell us about these 8 skills or 8 habits? Or?
Love to. So it was Judith Moskowitz who was looking at people who were just recently diagnosed as HIV positive. And so, as you mentioned, these people are in the midst of a health crisis, a significant health crisis. And what she found was that the ones who practiced these 8 skills were less likely to need antidepressants as a result of being able to show this positivity. And they coped with their illness better, and they had a lower viral load. So the people who could display positivity, who did this, were actually sort of healthier.
Wow. And so what are these? Did they mention any specific skill sets? Or,
yeah. Absolutely. So the 8 skills. Well, first of all, let's back up a little bit, because I probably haven't done Judith Moskowitz, so I'll say justice. And so what she wanted to do was to help people feel calm, happy, and satisfied despite being in the midst of this health crisis. So they never really thought about doing any improvements to health or longevity. If that happened, that was a bonus. So what she got people to do was to engage in 3 of 8 behaviors, and they followed them up 15 months afterwards. So after they did this training, a long time, and they showed these, all these, calmer, happier, healthier, lower viral load. So great results.
Incredible. So, coming back to the skills, does she mention the skills?
They are. There are 8 of them, and number 1 is to recognize a positive event each day.
Okay.
Number 2 is savor that event and log it in a journal or tell someone about it. Number 3 is start a daily gratitude journal, which was already mentioned earlier, right? So that's list of personal strength and note how you used it. Set an attainable goal and note your progress. Number 6 was report a relatively minor stress and list ways to reappraise the event positively. So it's something we call reframing. Recognize and practice small acts of kindness daily. And the 8th and final one was to practice mindfulness, focusing on the here and the now rather than the past or the future.
That's a great list. I think that's a brilliant list. Do you practice any of these, David?
I do. So that's the for me, I've been keeping a gratitude journal for a while now. I also look to do what I call a random act of kindness. I tend to pick on strangers, so this was doing this rather than sort of people I know. So I will just look to spontaneously do a random act of kindness for people. I also I'm getting into the mindfulness a little bit more because I think sometimes the busier I get, the more I kind of want to move on to the next thing. So I try to stay, be very conscious, staying in the here and the now. And with the gratitude journal, I do actually focus on a positive event each day. So I think those are things that I do, and I've probably done for a number of years, but I'm much more conscious to do it deliberately. What about you? Go on, tell me.
So I guess for me is if I do have situations that arise that perhaps are unexpected, are not in my favour, I always find that I think there's a reason behind it, and there's always a positive reason. Although it's not apparent right now, right here, today, it will be in the future. So there's always a good reason why this is happening. So for that, it gives me a sense of contentment, and I'm able to deal with it.
So that cloud has a silver lining. You just have to sometimes work to find it. Right?
Exactly. Or sometimes it just takes time to show. It might be a cloudy day.
Yeah.
Have to wait for the other clouds to shift out. And I guess the other one is writing a gratitude journal. And like yourself, acts of kindness. So that's a big one for me.
Good. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we're already there. So you mentioned there's 3, right? So 3 from there.
Just use 3.
I guess if we're on fast track, we could do them all.
If you're on fast track, you can do them all. But I think anybody who's listening to this, sort of watching this podcast, I would suggest that they choose the 3. So even before they have a health crisis, because it fosters this positivity, improves their immune system, and helps them deal with things as it happens, because life will throw you things that you don't want to.
It always does, doesn't it? So Dr. Moskowitz also conducted another study. Could you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. So earlier on, she observed people with type 2 diabetes, AIDS, and other chronic illnesses, and found that they actually lived longer when they displayed positive emotions. So for her, the next step was to see if, we know that people with positive, foster positive emotions do this, but could we train them to be positive? So because a lot of people out there are negative and say, no, I just don't do that sort of stuff. I don't do that positive.
Yeah. They do, yeah.
And so she wanted to see, could we actually train people to be more positive? And she actually found that, yes, it worked. And not only did it work, but it was even effective if you just did it online. So it didn't have to be anything that was terribly intensive. You didn't have 10 sessions of a one-on-one session, stuff like that. You could do it online, be anonymous.
That's amazing. There's also other studies that have found similar findings, is that right?
Yeah. If you look at other studies, you sort of know that people with diabetes, positive feelings were associated with an increase in healthy eating, physical activity, less use of tobacco, better control of blood sugar, and a lower risk of dying. So really, really positive. She also looked at another study of women who were diagnosed with breast cancer, and the ones who were positive had much lower levels of depression.
Oh, incredible. And would the disease progress less as well?
So they didn't find that actually with the women with cancer, because they couldn't look at the care progression, but they did find that sort of you have greater levels of longevity, so hence a lower, obviously, sort of risk from the disease if you're positive.
Oh, that's incredible. How do we get onto the positive track?
Well, it's a tough one, because it's not as if we can sort of just sort of go to the doctor and get a prescription for happiness and just here you go, here's your positivity pill, and off you go. So I think we all have to take the initiative. It is down to us. So if you want to be more positive, you need to take the initiative. You need to do something about it. For me, gratitude journal is a great place to start. mentioned before, and you see how this recurrent theme, everybody seems to be mentioning gratitude journal. So, the evidence is out there. We should be doing gratitude journal. I think recognizing that positive event each and every day, something that you're grateful for, something that you've experienced, making it really sensory rich in terms of, thinking about how it felt when it happened, sort of the noises, what was the soundtrack, what was going on, how, the sights that were around me. So really making it sensory rich for me. And obviously journaling it is really important. And I also think if you tell somebody about it and a friend about it, now when I say you tell a friend, you're probably thinking about, oh, I could tell so-and-so and so-and-so about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And on the flip side, you're probably also thinking, there are people I couldn't tell it to.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what's the difference between the two groups of people in your life?
Obviously, you've got the friends that are uplifting, encouraging,
Mm-hmm.
and probably on the similar wavelengths to yourself. And you've got the other ones, unfortunately, who latch onto you.
Okay.
And they almost drag you down. Or they drag you down to a lower level. So I guess the more negative people we have in our life.
Okay. Now that's really interesting.
Gentle way of saying.
That's kind. That's kind. I tend to term people as zappers or crappers.
Ah, that's a great way.
So for me, a zapper is somebody who I interact with who lifts me up, gives me more energy, and I feel so better for being around them. And then the converse of that is going to be the crapper who I spend 5 minutes with, and I literally want to just go home because there's just no point in even trying. So this. Now, I think we maybe need to spend more time with the zappers in life, and maybe avoid some of the crappers.
Absolutely.
And so the people you can share those things with, who are on your wavelength, who will reinforce and say, yeah, do more of that. Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Exactly.
Those are probably the people you want to be around a little bit more.
100%. So we should really make time to laugh a bit more as well then, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So do you make time to laugh?
Yeah, I do.
How do you do it? Come on, you tell me what's your
I watch
secret.
some funny videos every so often.
Okay.
And I love it, Or play with my little niece, she always makes me laugh. Kids are always wonderful.
Kids, pets, great. Getting outdoors. So that's, for me, it's comedy. I'll happily watch comedy. I will laugh, and I'm looking for those really deep belly laughs, not the little chuckle, but the really full on laughs.
So you really want to be involved emotionally rather than superficially. So fully engaged in there. Okay, well, thank you so much. We're going to come to an end over here. So any final words, David?
Yeah, I think the evidence is conclusive that a positive outlook in life adds years to your life. The link between positivity and the health benefits is indisputable. Research shows it lowers your blood pressure, it reduces heart disease, you have better weight control, healthier blood sugar levels. It is just a positive cycle. And the more positivity you practice, the easier it gets. So, so if no one starts off being a pro with the positivity stuff, but if you don't start, you'll never get there. So, and I think, it is. So it's time to get out there and start doing the positivity thing.
Well, thank you so much, David. Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day. What a wonderful thought to close on. Thank you very much.